Hi Elflanes, it's Nico. I had a craft fair fundraiser, animal fundraiser for the Greener Side Haven in Citrus County, Florida on Saturday. I had a lot of fun, got to use my canopy for the first time. I hung out with my elfling slash friend Margie. We had a good time. I just said her name weird. Margie. And we had a really wonderful time. It was hot and the canopy kept us cool. Got to see so many puppies, got to meet so many people. It was not a profitable day for either of us by any means, but that's okay. It was for charity and it was $25 table. It's something I can handle financially right now in Elvenspun's budget, which is pretty small for a cause that I actually really think's a good one. I have lived in a very supportive bubble. I know this. I have since I started sculpting 5 years ago, I have lived in a very supportive bubble. My husband is very supporting. People online are very supporting. People in my group page are supporting. People in my Etsy, I'm doing 4, can't do. People in my Etsy shop are very supporting. My family is very supporting. It has been wonderful. I've had great support at Comic-Con, even if people don't buy things. I've never had anything negative said or bad said about my work and handmade crafts. And I know handmade's not cheap. Handmade is not cheap. I personally try to keep my prices very low because I want to make affordable art, which means that I may have a couple of $2 items, but on the other end of the spectrum, I have items that have costed up to $200, I think is the highest so far I have ever charged for something, and it was just a massive piece. And it took over a month to do. Well, at this fundraiser on Saturday, I met amazing people. I met a very well-known polymer clay artist online and in the art community, and I am a very terrible person because I still don't remember her name. I will look it up later. I just don't remember her name. But she bought one of my pieces. She actually complimented my work. She never batted an eye when she asked how much my larger pieces were. And with one of the looks that I got from her, I kind of got the feeling that she didn't think I was charging enough. And I know that. I know I don't charge what is necessarily expected, which is a higher price. I usually have a lower price because I would like to see what I create bring someone joy and for someone to be able to afford it. She actually bought one of my pieces. It was amazing. I got to talk with so many wonderful people, ranging from little children to very, very elderly people on oxygen that were just like barely moving around the parking lot we were set up. They were adorable. Got to talk to a couple of other artists that came to check out and see what was happening. It was great. I did experience people snubbing my prices and my work, which kind of shook me. It kind of made me doubt myself in the moment. I have some galaxy eggs, which are, they're not plastic eggs, but they're eggs, not real eggs. They're man-made eggs, but they're not plastic. It's weird. But I paint galaxies on them, and then they are glazed, and they are $5 each. $5 for a galaxy egg. I had a lady let her little child, who she was holding in her arms, grab 2 of the eggs and start banging them together. apparently this little girl loves eggs. That's fine. My only thought when she was doing that was, well, if you crack the eggs or damage it, you are going to have to buy them. You break it, you buy it. I am very sorry, you're going to buy it. She's ready to pay for one egg at least. I had her daughter pick out one, and she asked how much it was, and I told her it was $5, and she went, for a plastic egg? And I just said, yes, it's $5. And she's like, no, not for a plastic egg. And I said, I'm sorry, but it's $5. And she went over to Margie's side of the table and bought her daughter a $2 bracelet, which is fine because they were bracelets that were priced at $2 for little kids, so little kids would get something easily. And that was the first part of the day that I experienced something like that. And I was just like, it kind of made me think, am I charging too much for my egg? And then I looked at Margie, and Margie's like, I can't believe she just let her child reach into the basket and grab your stuff. That's so rude. And yes, that was very rude. I was a little taken aback, but I was very determined if the kid damaged my eggs or broke them or anything, that lady was gonna end up paying $10 for 2 eggs. But it made me doubt my price a little bit. And I had to sit back, literally, in the chair I was in, and I'm just like, is my egg too expensive? Am I charging too much for my Galaxy eggs? But then I remember, I sold out of them for 2 years in a row now, online in my group. They are the first things in my adoption, normally, when those eggs are included, to go. I sell them at Comic-Con. People don't bat an eye. And I know my prices at Comic-Con are really inexpensive compared to overpriced plushies that I mostly want. Because there's a lot of overpriced goods at Comic-Con, like, you know, the plushies that come from China and stuff, and people are charging like 4 times the regular price. Yes, I still want to buy those. But other artists have their prices usually higher. I just want people to be able to get something and enjoy it, especially a little kid. Which is why I have my unicorn horn prices set for like $4, or if it's a necklace, $5 because it comes with a necklace or something. But that was the first thing. I had a couple of other people come over, and my higher priced items were set up off the table on my pine pedestals. And it was at least a visual for me to see where the expensive items were. And the least expensive item started at $50 and it went up to $100. So anywhere in between $50 and $100, anything on a pedestal, or my giant egghead because she didn't fit on a pedestal. Those were the higher prices I had, and everything else ranged from $2 to $25. I had somebody ask about a creature on a pedestal. I think it was my unicorn Clover. And they asked about the price because she's like, I love unicorns. I was like, thank you very much. I really love them too. She asked how much Clover was, and I said she's $100. And the lady went, really? Literally like that. And I was just like, yep, she's $100. She takes a lot of work to make. She's also the biggest size I make. And I got scoffed at again, and she left. Now this happened a couple of other times, even with some of my lower priced items. And it made me doubt myself a lot with my prices. But then I have to remember, my Tradewind Snail Dragon was adopted in the first 10 minutes she was up, and her price for adoption was $100 plus a $10 shipping fee. And she was adopted in 10 minutes. I know where I was at. It was not an art fair. It was a fundraiser for animals. I know people were just coming to see what was up. There were a lot of tables like Scentsy and Tupperware and LuLaRoe, and there's a jewelry one. I don't know, but there were a lot of business tables there. There were a couple of people that had art tables. Like Margie had her table. We had 2 spaces, but we put our tables together and shared my canopy because it was hot. But Margie does her handmade jewelry and stuff. And then our table across from us was a lady that decorated bottles, and they were really pretty. And then like 2 tents down was a lady that handmade like little dog beds so they can be off the hot concrete. And then further down was another handmade table with more western-y, I want to say eclectic, hippie, with a cowboy vibe stuff. It was really cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. It was really cool. I really liked her table. And there were only a couple art tables, but the same people that snubbed me and made scoffing noises, and it wasn't just those 2 people, it was a couple of other people that was just like, you're charging too much. Really? That's the price? That's what I was getting. They're the same people that were dropping like $60 on a single Tupperware bowl, or dropping however much for a Scentsy tart container. I had to remember that. It's okay. I understand. Trust me. I get it. And I get that I was not in a pure craft fair, a pure art community, which I totally prepared for. But doubting myself was a little scary. I shook a little bit. And I was very lucky Margie was there. She reminded me that my art is priced very low for what I do. I have to take into account the cost of materials, the time I put into it, and the time I put into publicizing every piece. And she lectures me, because I should take into account the time my painted pieces take, even though I don't, that's just my personal choice. I don't charge extra for painting just because I find it very relaxing. And I told my husband about what happened, and honestly, I was very less upset than after the Christmas fundraiser when I did inventory afterwards, and I realized some of my pieces had been stolen. I was very upset then. I was much less upset now, but I needed to tell him what happened. And he took 2 hours after his work day that he worked really hard, and he had a very hard day, to assure me that my prices are worthwhile and that my pieces are priced much lower than many other artists. It was very sweet, and it made me appreciate him even more than I appreciate him. But it did open my eyes to how certain people see things, and it opened my eyes to sticking to my guns and being sure in myself. Now, if I'm making something new and I have no idea how to price things, I ask my husband, I ask my friends, what do you think you would pay for this? Because I will know what I'm willing to pay for a piece. But I have to bounce the prices off new things off of my husband and my friends to get a fair price, because I usually undercut myself more than is probably good. But yes, and I purposefully keep certain prices low, like my unicorn horn charms. I keep them low because I want somebody to be able to afford them. And with my chibis, I keep those prices lower. And I have some little feather ornament charm things that are only $2 each. But I keep them low because I want people to be able to get something, even if it's for $2. I want them to bring home something. So I guess the whole purpose of this talk was to share my first time in 5 years, and I have been very lucky that I was snubbed and scoffed at and made to feel like my work was not worth it. And I know it is. I really do. I know it is. But I've been in a very supportive bubble, and it was the first time my bubble was breached. And anybody out there that is doing artwork of any sort, whether it's writing or painting or sculpting or anything, remember your work is worth it. No matter what anybody else says. You put your heart and your soul and your time and your materials and your effort into that piece, and that is worth more than something that can ever be manufactured at a company, because you're not a company. You're a single person giving a piece of your soul to hopefully bring somebody else happiness and joy with your work. All right, Elflings, I love you, and I will talk to you later. Bye. Mwah.